just a bloke in a bar.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the New South Wales Origin Preview, brought to you by Macca's. Go and support your state with the new Blues meal at Macca's. You get your choice of a Big Mac or 10 Chicken McNuggets, plus medium or large fries and a soft drink. But the real kicker, you'll score one of 6 legendary Blues jersey collectible cups with every purchase. Get the full set of 6 and support the Mighty Blues today. Here we go. You've got it right in front of me. These are actually outstanding. Love them. So you get the full set of 6 to support the Mighty Blues. There's a barcode on the box which you can scan, and then you just follow the prompts. You scan your cup for special content from the players and a chance to win a signed jersey and a double pass to Game 3. You can also purchase the cup separately for $3.95. Let's have a look at the 6 cup. As you can see, they're outstanding. I love how they've got the older jerseys on it, like the collars and that. It's so friggin' cool. 05 there. What have we got here? The 85 here, 97. Which ones you got?
I've got
14?
24, 14, breaking the streak,
Stop it.
25, continuing our streak.
Okay. So let's just calm down. Let's get into the content, shall we? Let's just get into the content first before you start throwing jabs. Info on the cups, they've got a year of each moment of them as the player number. They've got the relevant blue jersey from when the moment was. And the really cool thing is they have the Macca's logo from the year of each moment. So what we're going to do is, first of all, what I want to do is we're going to obviously preview the game tomorrow, but I wanted to, just to get the blood flowing, the blue blood flowing per se, I wanted to speak about some big moments that we've both selected, or you've actually selected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to preview how we think the Blues are going to play in Game 2 over in Perth. But Sowie, first of all, welcome, mate. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very excited about the Blues wrapping up the series hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, why? Why do you have to be so aggressive?
I was part of the 8 in a row. Anytime New South Wales win and I get a chance to rub it in,
okay,
I'm rubbing it in.
Now, first of all, what have you selected? What did you want to talk about in regards to the moment, just to get the blood flowing?
I think the 2014 series, the way that New South Wales broke the streak, Queensland had been so good for so long, but just the way they did it, 2 really tight games. No one else in the team had won a series other than Luke Lewis before then.
Wow.
Which is huge,
That
right?
is
But
huge.
to win 2 games, to wrap it up on home soil, for me was a monumental moment. And we talk about the Trent Hodgkinson try, in that moment, 6-4. To keep that Queensland side to 2 penalty goals was ridiculous. So that was a big series win, and we thought it was going to turn the tide, but Queensland went on another little streak.
Yeah. I tell you what, as a Queenslander, and I'll just be honest, I just kept thinking, nah, we'll pull something out here. Something's going to happen here where we'll break their heart. That's honestly what I was thinking as a Queenslander.
But that had been the narrative for so long. And that's probably been the narrative up until last year and potentially this year. But I just remember New South Wales just had a different feel about them. It wasn't necessarily attack-minded. It was through their defence that they won those series, and they kept those guys limited touches. But, I mean, Jonathan Thurston was the highest point scorer for the series at 16 points.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
That is actually insane.
But, yeah, I just think that the way that they went about it, the pressure that was on Josh Reynolds, Trent Hodgkinson, they were obviously made a grand final that year for the Bulldogs. To be able to go and execute that in front of their home fans was such a thrill.
Man, what I am, so impressed with the Blues here is the fact that, how often have Queensland been said, we win these series, we shouldn't win with these no names or whatever. And I'm definitely not saying Hodgkinson and Reynolds are no names, but in comparison to who they beat, they were not even in the same tier of player as the players that they beat. And it really was, the little guy against the big guy, when that's what Queensland had built their whole state team on, was the little guy versus the big guy. And this was the first time it really was New South Wales was almost the little guy versus the big guy kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely. And they had a lot of changes as well. The back 5 or back 4 for New South Wales changed a lot versus Queensland's. They had pretty much cut and paste. Cronk and Thurston in the halves versus Reynolds and Hodgkinson. Reynolds was a little bit different player, but you had Brett Morris, Will Hopewadi, James McManus played Game 3, which they ended up losing. Michael Jennings was at the peak of his powers. So they had a fair few changes to deal with. But when you look at a side that has Slater, Thurston, Smith, and then
GI, Justin Hodges, Tatey,
Sherry Evans.
Slater.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And then not only that, but the forwards as well. that was when the baby Broncos were around because they had so many, and they had Corey Parker, Gillette, Thaiday. But for New South Wales, I just looked back at Bo Scott, Ryan Hoffman, two workers out on an edge, hold your edge down. Paul Gallen at lock, then Greg Bird, a bit fiery in games 2 and 3. So I think Gal would have shifted up front. But Luke Lewis, Tony Williams got a start, T-Rex.
No way, T-Rex.
James Tamau come off the bench. And then, that was when Robbie Farah obviously had a couple of good years in a row as well.
Yeah.
So
I've actually got a Bo Scott story from that series. So game 1 in 2014 still is one of the best games I've ever watched in my life. Blues went up to Queensland. They couldn't even get close to win back then. And they just held him out. It was the Brett Morris where he did his shoulder, the Josh Morris where he did his knee, amazing. And the Blues, they turned them away all game, especially in the last 10, 15 minutes. They just kept turning away. The fatigue was so high in that game that Bo Scott in the sheds, he couldn't even stand. He almost collapsed after the game. That's how hectic that game 1 was. It not only was it so physically fatiguing, but to get that win in Queensland after being 8 in a row, and then to know that you were going to go down to Sydney to get the chance.
That was Bowie every week because he was doing all my tackling. He couldn't stand in the sheds every week for the Dragons.
My God.
Would surprise me. I'm off Matty, though. He talks about we're close. In 11, we lost 16-12 game 1 and we won game 2. So we had been close before, but thanks for bringing that back
Sorry,
up.
Mate. So incredible win. And when Hodgkinson throws that dummy, goes over.
I was in those Blatchies.
No way.
That was with the Blatchies. Was that the first year the Blatchies were full?
No. That
brought to the public eye.
Yeah. I think that might have been around the time that the Blues purchased it, or someone purchased it.
Made it more forefront.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that was the game they set a world record for the most wigs in one place at the one time.
No way.
But yeah, I was so Hodgkinson scored at the other end of the field, and it was game 1 was so exciting. Game 2 was very dour. It was a sluggish game, but the Blues kept them to 2 penalty goals, and then when Hodgkinson scored that try, we were just all right. I had graduated school at that point. The last time we'd won, I was in primary school.
To keep that side to 2 penalty goals.
Mental.
That to me brings back the reffing as well. The reffing would have been a lot different to what we see now. No 60 goes, all that kind of stuff. No short dropouts. It just was a defensive game. And for Hodgkinson to score, for people now, if they watch that now, Kempy, Matty, they'd be filthy. They'd be like, where's all the points? But if you go back and watch that game, it was actually a really good game. Lots of chances, lots of momentum swings.
Yeah.
What's crazy as well is you actually go to the stats the Blues had 14 ineffective tackles to 6 for Queensland. It's where you would think that they would be much better than that with such a low scoring game. In regards to some of these other sets, the Maroons had 10 offloads and they still didn't score any tries. They had more average distance per set. Wow! I tell you what, smashed us in kick return meters as well. What is interesting is the completion rates were 74 and 71%. That's low as.
Well, that's how much the game's changed with momentum and the way that now you're probably more errors because it's open. 60 goes, you probably chance your arm a little bit more, but it was really grinding, kick, chase to a corner. You could kick early, find the ground versus now kick and bomb to a corner. But to have a series that had 12-8 and then 6-4 and all the pressure they would have been under, the only series winner, as we said, was Luke Lewis. Everyone else hadn't. And for years, I mean, like I said, I was part of the 8 in a row. You're how are we ever going to beat this side?
Yep.
And to keep that side in game 2 at home to wrap the series up with Slater, with Smith, with Thurston. And that was when the hoodoo was sort of a bit real in Sydney.
Oh, it was real.
Come down here and won. I think they'd won 2 times and not very many.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad. So it's good. No, I like this. We get to relive Queensland's.
There we go.
This is awesome.
Make sure to grab your 2014 Cup or any other cup. They are absolutely fantastic. Now, I wanted to talk about, so you've gone the drought breaker. I wanted to talk about last year because I felt like that was the first year in a very long time where New South Wales almost that no matter how many games that we would win in a row for Queensland, we would always go in as underdogs. And I feel like Mike Maguire did a really good job of nah, we're not buying into any of that nonsense this time. We're not believing nothing that comes out, all the yarns that come out of camp for Queensland. We're not believing it. We're actually going to turn it on them. The glass houses comment. I just think New South Wales mastered the mind games heading into the series. And even like game one, when they were a man down, Suoliti goes straight off. I reckon that rattled Queensland a bit where they were like, we should have blown these guys off the park. And I know in the end the score doesn't look great, but when you actually watch that game, New South Wales were in it up to their eyeballs for a lot of the game. And I reckon like New South Wales probably took more confidence out of game one than Queensland did. And I just think that in all areas of the game, they won the battle, whether it was on the field, off the field, the physicality, not buying into the nonsense about Queensland being underdogs. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff that usually happens before a series, it just didn't happen this series. I feel like Michael Maguire, his campaign with the Blues was almost perfect, honestly. Outside of the Suoliti send-off, it was almost a perfect campaign.
Yeah, well, Suoliti gets sent off in the 8th minute, and they conceded a try to Ben Hunt early.
Yep.
So they were under the pump. But then after that, they sort of steadied a little bit. When Tedesco scored, it was game back on. But I think the moment that typified for me in that second half was when Liam Martin came out of the sheds and put on a big shot.
Yeah.
I think it was on Jermaine Hopgood.
Yep.
And that sort of lifted. And then New South Wales had a bit of a chance to keep the score tight. I don't think they kicked enough to Zach Lomax last year. Like he was in that moment. I think Nico may have been the halfback, but they didn't find a way to get it there. And look, the end score, as you said, it was all Queensland. But Michael Maguire, the pressure he was under going into game 2 down in Melbourne, Suoliti's out. You've had to drop Nico Hines, so you've essentially changed your halfback. No Nathan Cleary.
Like Watson comes onto the bench.
It's not talked enough about how well he did in that short preparation to be able to go down there, and then they win game 2 comfortably.
Yeah.
They smash him in game 2. What was it, 38-18, but it was over at half time.
Man.
But what you will say is that Queensland won that second half. And that's what you've been talking about is Queensland have always got this aura of we'll get the last try and we'll carry that momentum. And you've heard Gus say it for years, like don't let them score last, all that kind of stuff. They were winning the moments, but it felt like New South Wales put more pressure on themselves by not winning that second half going into game 3.
Yeah. And then game 3 rolls around. And as I said, as a Queenslander, I'll be honest, I was like, New South Wales will break. They'll break. Like, 60-minute mark, they'll go with us, they'll try something silly, they'll break. And they just didn't. We were the ones that eventually made the error. Gez goes to the ground, Luai makes the line break. Even little things like Gagai comes across, he gets his hands on Best but falls off him. Like, Queensland usually make that tackle and they scramble But no, New South Wales out Queensland in Queensland to win at a side at Suncorp. Like, I feel like if there was ever a death blow to the intimidation of Suncorp, I think that was it. It was already losing a bit of its mystique, I think. But I think that was the death blow to this generation of New South Welshmen of like, Suncorp's just not this big scary place that we used to think it was in the early 2000s. And since then, obviously, game 1 rolls around, you're not scared at all. Not even the slightest.
I went up there for a series decider, I think it was in 17, when Cronk did the windscreen wiper kick to Val.
Yeah.
And it was intimidating to go there. The Caxton, they'd all been drinking rum and whatever up there for 3 days. Everyone's teeth have fallen out and they're just stuck into each other. And then last year to watch them go up and win the way that they did, because you're right. I don't think it's lost its aura to the traditionalists to us. But you made a point earlier this year about like it's used so many times now. Same with the core. It's used so many times.
Won premierships there, Penrith.
Yeah.
Literally.
So you go there and you're familiar. You know where you like to sit. You know all that kind of stuff.
Magic round every year now as well.
Yep.
Like that makes you more used to it.
So if you're a club that plays up there, you play Brisbane up there, you play Magic round up there.
Play the Dolphins up there now as well.
So you probably get 3 good trips anyway.
Yep.
The big thing for me was that they kept them 2 penalty goals.
Yeah.
Again, so in 14 when they won the series to wrap it up, it was 2 penalty goals.
Crazy.
And then last year, 2 penalty goals as well. The biggest moment for me was the Bradman Best try. Jerome Luai.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know we're going to preview the game, but you think about him at the peak of his powers, running, causing people to miss. And then for Bradman Best, it wasn't an easy take.
No
put
way.
Down.
No,
but
he actually got rattled and he looked like he was ready
But
to
so
drop
many
it.
times Queensland have been the one to score that.
Yep.
Queensland have been the one to make the try
100%.
saving play. It's starting to swing and hopefully we can continue it.
I remember going into that game 3 thinking, like the last game 3 in Suncorp was 2022 when Dearden debuted, Ponga was electric. The one before that was 2020 when it was the worst Origin side ever. Both those games, just as a fan, I felt suffocated the whole game. I felt like Queensland had just camped us in and then there's nothing we could do about it. Same as the 17 one you spoke about. I'll never forget that 17 series. We actually won game 1 up there. We were up at game 2, 16-6, and it was one of the worst chokes of all time. And then Munster debuts in game 3. But always felt suffocated up in Suncorp. And going into that game, because of everything, I wasn't confident. Coming into this year, because of what we did last year, we suffocated them. We did a Queensland to Queensland. And that's why before game 1 this year, I've never been more confident as to a Blues team going up to Suncorp. It's the only time I've ever felt confident that we're going to go up and win because of what they did last year, because they finally suffocated Queensland. It was an incredible game. And let's not forget, the Blues, it's not like Queensland were outstanding, but the Blues were good in those last 2 deciders. They were good in 2020. They were good in 2022, and we still couldn't win, which was the most frustrating thing. But we were elite last year. Last year was hectic, and that's why.
I think as well, it's one of the first times you've won the physical battle. I think Queensland, a lot of the time, they might not win the first 20 minutes physical battle, but over the 80-minute period, Queensland win that physical battle. And it just wasn't the case in these last couple of games.
No, and game 2 set the tone for that. I think game 2 last year, or game 3 last year, feels like game 2 this year. We were dominant down in Melbourne.
Yep.
We were going up there with a lot of confidence. We were dominant, I think, in game 1. I don't think Queensland played very well, but I think we were dominant to a point where you looked across and we didn't have a bad player.
Yeah.
And you're right, we won the physicality battle. We went after it. They didn't kick off to Spencer. Whatever is going on there, it's for me, you can look at it both ways. Tactically, it's very smart. He gets his head rattled a little bit, or you look at it the other way.
Make sure to grab your 2024 cup or any other cup. They're absolutely outstanding.
I'm more scared about tomorrow night.
Okay.
Because the pressure, for us as New South Welshmen, if it was in New South Wales, I'd be very confident.
Yeah, okay.
I'd be very confident. But you go to Perth, neutral venue, the refereeing's going to be different. You always expect it at the home ground to be a little bit different, but when it's in a neutral ground, there's bigger things at play. They want the spectacle to be the spectacle.
Yeah.
There is a difference this year. Everyone's talking about how Blues are really, really good in Perth. There's a huge difference this year. The last 2 times we played in Perth, we were 1-0 down. 1-0 down in the series.
Desperation was there.
Desperation was there. We had to win. It was a decider. It's different this time.
I think we're underdogs.
Really? Wow. See, so let's have a look. Let's preview the game now. Let's preview the game. I mean, what do you really change with this New South Wales side? You have the game plan. It's there for you. You've got the roster to do it. The roster you've selected. Honestly, the amount of times that I would see Blues select a roster that literally didn't suit the game plan, I'll be like, you've selected a roster that doesn't suit what you're doing. What I like about the foundation that Madge laid last year, and then obviously that Bellyache and Daly have done this year, is you selected a team to play a certain style of footy. The amount of times, as I said, I've seen Blues select a team, then try and squeeze that team into that style of footy. It's I never understood it. Whereas it's very clear what you're trying to say. You've got big outside backs. They're going to take all the hit-ups coming out of your own end. You're going to rest your forwards when you can so they get line speed and dominate Queensland and win the field position. And Queensland, on the other hand, and we'll get to them obviously next, but they're the smaller side. They're a bit faster. So with New South Wales, I'm just saying, guys, basically just be super patient. Be super patient. You don't be stressed out about the score or putting points on. They're the ones that have to chase points. They're the ones that have to do something special to score. We can camp them down in their end. We have the squad to do it. And so that's what I'll be saying to the Blues is guys, if we win 2-0, who cares? Queensland are the ones that probably thinking right now we need to score 20 points to win. We're not thinking that at all. And so I think New South Wales have a very simple game plan heading into game 2.
2 things. Traditionally, New South Wales have not picked guys that are in the best form. They've picked guys that are origin players or have been and done the job before.
Yep.
Michael Maguire changed that last year. Everyone that's playing tomorrow night is in the top 4, top 5 in their position.
Yep.
I don't think I'm being bold by saying
Pretty
that.
much, yeah.
So you've got an advantage over that way. The other part is, for so long, being part of that 8 in a row, New South Wales have picked teams to try and defend their way to victory. This team can do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can defend their way to victory, and they've got plenty of points in them. So
they can dictate the game as well.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They can dictate the pace on how they want to play. You saw in game 1, New South Wales went set for set, set for set, set for set. Then it was like a little bit of broken play, offloads, try. And then from that point on, I didn't really feel threatened too much in terms of what Queensland were throwing at us.
Queensland only stripped New South Wales once at the end when forward pass of Dean.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But in the past, it's been like, how do we stop Thurston? Michael Maguire's going, rubbish. Let's concentrate on what we're really good at.
Yep.
We've picked the best guys in their position. Crichton and Latrell, apart from Herbie Farnworth, who's not eligible, they're probably the top centres, top
absolutely.
3 or 4 centres.
Yep.
Luai, I thought it was his best game last week for West Tigers. Doesn't need the ball. That's a big one. Nathan Cleary was probably one of his best games in Origins. Be interested to see how the forward pack attacks each other. I think that Queensland will be hurting, from how they were dissed in game 1. But Payne Haas, I think Liam Martin's in for a big game.
Mate, they live. That's the thing though. Like guys like Martin and Haas, they live for this kind of stuff. They're not going to be intimidated by, and that's what I'd be saying to this forward pack, guys. There's going to be 20 minutes of mayhem, like 20 minutes of absolute mayhem. Are they going to go too hard too early? Let's ask that question. Let's go. All right, you might win the first set or even the second set, the third set. Can you win the 20th set? That's what because the Blues as a squad, we know on paper we are a more talented squad overall than them. So if we just play at our 8 out of 10 for the whole game or a 9 out of 10 for the whole game, we know that's probably better than their 9 out of 10.
Nah, you can't think like that. I think they'd be thinking if we stick to our plan and worry about ourselves in that sense, then they'll be able to be in the game and get the job done. The thing that scares me about Queensland is backs against the wall. Munster comes in, big dog. If there was ever a game where Munster was going to be man of the match, it's going to be tomorrow night, right? So I think New South Wales would want to be tidy a little bit earlier with their attack. I think their attack struggled because it became so easy that they were up there in game 1. I reckon you'll see a lot more change of angles within both Queensland and New South Wales, but more New South Wales with those big outside backs. I think Crichton, he caused some headaches on that left edge for Queensland.
See, I just reckon I reckon there's going to be 20 minutes of carnage from Queensland, but I just think New South Wales, they've got the game plan. Just be patient. I really think
if New South Wales score first, they win.
Yeah, I mean, I just if they get ahead, I just don't know how Queensland will kind of run them down. I don't know if they've got the roster right now on paper to run down a New South Wales side that's got plenty of confidence, plenty of size, and usually win field position.
They won't line up like that, though. That's what
You reckon it'll change?
I think it'll change.
Okay,
I think there's some changes there that will probably throw a spanner in the works.
Save it for Queensland. We'll save that for Queensland choice. Chat.
I think that for New South Wales to win early, you don't have to get the points. Like you said, if you're 9 out of 10, you obviously want to play 10 out of 10, but that's unrealistic.
Yep.
But your standards and your values around kick to a corner, kick chase, contesting kicks, making sure that we don't give away a penalty early and give, who's reffing, Ash Klein?
Ash Klein.
Yeah. Well, don't give him a chance to ref Queensland into the game.
He loves to blow a penalty. He wants to blow a penalty. He's dying.
I'm going to tell you right now, the under-overs on the penalties will be about 6 tomorrow. What was it, 15 in game 1?
21 all up.
In game 1?
If you include everything, I think it was 21.
The 60 goes and that?
Yeah.
So I would be very surprised if it's over 10, including the 60
and look,
goes.
I know the NRL likes to pretend like 60 again's not a penalty. Right.
It's a penalty.
It's a penalty.
Especially in Origin.
It's a penalty, bro. Do you agree with this statement, though? New South Wales can win far more easily playing conservative rugby league than Queensland can. Queensland need to play they can't be conservative. They're not going to conserve their way to a victory, in my opinion.
That's why Cameron Munster's the captain.
Yeah, okay.
Because they've got Ponga, they've got Munster, you've got Deard, and you've got Harry Grant, all fantastic ball runners.
Yeah.
So they need to continue to go the game, which is why they've got Munster in that position to be
risk.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
New South Wales can be conservative. I think that the big danger for New South Wales is we don't want to see them fall into the Penrith mould of playing out the back. They were so dominant in game 1 because they played front door footy.
It was run first.
By that, it was bash barge, Cleary front line, threat, straight to there.
Yep. Not out the back stuff where it's all slow.
They were able to do that.
To get to them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were able to do that. The problem with Queensland is they weren't able to handle Payne Haas, Mitch Barnett. Now, Mitch Barnett's out, so that's a big loss. You get Stefano in, who I think's an adequate. I had him in my team 1 to start, but it's just going to be interesting to see that, as you said, the first 20 minutes, I don't think it'll be 20 minutes. I think it'll be like 10, 12, where it's
carnage.
just bash and barge, and you may see an early sub from both.
Would you risk, if New South Wales, would you go, they're going to go crazy, let's try spin it? Or would you just go, nah, let's just go conservative all the way through the 80 minutes? Like if you're New South Wales and you can break that momentum by spinning it early on one of your coming out of trouble sets, it could break that, because the last thing you want as a team that's compressed and getting line speed is to someone to land outside your C defender and get a quick play of the ball and you're like, oh my God, our line speed's crazy, we can't get back in time? Or would you say, no, we love the grind as New South, let's just be conservative?
We love the grind.
Yeah, okay.
We love the grind. We've got the players here that are going to put us in position.
Yep.
As you said before, big outside backs that are going to carry the ball. Lomax's going to have 25 carries. Tottle's going to have 25 carries. And then when you get down there, Crichton and Latrell are going to be fit, ready to go. So, and feeling fresh. I don't think they'll chance their arm. I think it'd be business as usual. I'd just be interested to see that left edge with Jerome there, and how involved he gets running the football early, because I think that was a good thing about Mitch Moses in game one, is didn't overplay his hand.
Super patient.
Yeah. And they allowed the points to come late, which is probably why they felt like they left points out there.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's do a man of the match, and you know what else we'll do? We'll do underrated player, someone that's probably not going to get the plaudits that the big dogs are, but just so I'll go mine first. I just think Isaiah Yeo, especially in game one, doesn't get the raps for how good he was. He was run first. There was none of this pass. It was none of this, as you said, out the back stuff. It was truly get the ball in his hand and run like a front rower, which opened up a lot of space for the outside men. And I think man of the match from the Blues, I am going to go... Listen, if I'm going to get beaten, at least I would like to see Nathan Cleary have his moment. I'll go Nathan Cleary.
The great thing about being on podcasts and being on a lot of them is we can have 15 different picks.
Yes, absolutely.
Because no one's going to listen to all of them and go, oh, you didn't pick it like that. So I have said Nathan Cleary, but for argument's sake, Zach was very unlucky in game one. I thought Payne Haas was fantastic, but I could see someone like Dylan Edwards getting it.
Okay.
I think if Ponga's going to have a big game, Dylan Edwards could step up. He does so much work that's unnoticed, and he's going to be my underrated player as well.
Yeah.
I think the way that he puts himself in position, carries the ball, that's where New South Wales have the edge over Ponga. Like Ponga's going to carry the ball and play full. It ain't like Dylan Edwards.
No way.
And
no way.
The thing about Dylan is he can hold down an edge now like he did with Penrith, and they're probably more dangerous on the right when that ball breaks down if Cleary wants to go back to the long side.
Yep.
So I'll be watching that as well. So I got Dylan Edwards basically because I can literally pick one from each position. You got to love that too, mate.
Oh, mate, I do it all the time. Sometimes I get to my tips by the end of the week and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said at the start.
Tipping comps are the worst.
They're the worst. Like each show has a different tip for me.
I picked one. I pick in one competition and then the family one. And I go, I think I went really well. I went really well in this one. I went shit in the family one. So it's torturous. Look, if there was a forward, I just think Liam Martin's in for a big game.
Yeah, okay. He loves it.
If the narrative around Cameron Munster being captain, like Martin's going to find himself in there. And he said he was quiet in game one. So I could see Liam Martin getting it.
Alrighty, guys. That was brought to you by McDonald's. Make sure to get in. And you make sure the real kicker, you can 1 from 6 legendary Blues jersey collectible cups with every purchase. If you get in and you grab a Blues meal at Macca's, you get a choice of a Big Mac, a 10 Chicken McNuggets, or 10 Chicken McNuggets, plus medium or large fries and a soft drink. And as I said, you got to collect these because these are outstanding. And they'll last. They aren't plastic or anything like that. These are high quality. They'll last. So get into McDonald's, guys. Scan your cup for special content from the players and a chance to win a signed jersey and a double pass to Game 3. A massive thank you to Macca's for putting this show on. We really appreciate it. And, man, I'm nervous. Game 2, it's coming.
Are you really nervous?
I am. I'm super nervous.
Will your hair go completely blonde if it's...
No, actually, we haven't done a bet for this Game 2. So, maybe Rue doesn't have the balls to do it because it was with Rue.
Don't talk about my front row like that. I won't take any stick. I'd love to see him with blonde hair, though.
Oh, mate. Blonde beard, how good would it be? All right. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. And we will see you after the game.